David, I'm very excited to hear your story today. I did read your chapter yesterday about the lynching, so I am sorry to hear that happened. And at the same time, I would love to hear a bit more about what happened there as well. But before we get into all of that, you've actually wrote a book called Raised in Both Worlds. So I'm going to ask if you could just go back right to the beginning because I know you've been seeing angels and seeing the other world since you were very young. You could just share a bit about your youth.
He found a grave site next to our house in the bushes. And I was about 3 or 4 years old. And for some reason, I kept going in the bushes. And I had my bucket of soap and water, and me and my dog, Tick, he followed me everywhere I go. And I go in the bushes and I clean the graves. They were from like the 17 or 1800s. And after a month or two, I found all the graves and I cleaned them. And next thing I know, my mama, she brought me a chair to sit in the bushes. And I'm 4 years old, remember? And she said, "Don't be scared of your gift." And I didn't know what she was talking about. I'm 4 years old. You know what I mean? And she said, "Don't be scared of your gift." And next thing I know, I'm singing with ghosts, spirits. And I couldn't talk in real life, because I had a speech disability. But all of us were talking telepathically. And we just singing every day. And I'm talking with these guys. And it was like, I didn't know what was going on, And we went to the Bahamas one summer. And when we got back, the bushes were gone. And my mama, she ain't go with us, and I said, "Mama, what happened to the grave?" She said, "Oh, they moved them to build a church. They building the church." I said, "What you mean they moved them?" She said, "They moved the graves to build a church, baby. They all right, you know." But after that, the house became extremely haunted. It was so haunted certain times a year, we all have to sleep in the living room. And then when me and my brother fall asleep, they carry us because I was 4 years old and he was like 6 years old. They'll carry us to the bedroom, you know. And one day we were in the living room, everybody in there looking at TV, my mama, daddy, and 3 older brothers. And me and my brother was laying on the floor, sleeping in the living room. The next thing I know, we on the ceiling and we looking down. And I say, "Cedric, what's going on?" And he was looking like, like he seen a ghost. And then next thing I know, I get a tap on the shoulder. A little girl. And she said, "Would y'all like to play with me?" I'm like, what you mean play with you? She said, "God say I can find some humans to play with. Would you two like to play with me?" And we said, "Yeah, you know." And we looked at our parent carry our body to the bedroom. And we still on the ceiling looking down. And after they carry our body to the bedroom, next thing I know, zoom, we all over the universe. We hit in black holes. We hit in tunnels. We going to different planet, different universe. We going in the past, the future. It was amazing. And after we got a little older, I think my brother was probably 12 and I was 10. She wouldn't bring him no more. And I kept asking her, "Hey, you going to get Cedric?" And she never would say nothing. Because she would come in every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? And then the third time, I said, "Hey, is you going to get Cedric?" Because me and Cedric were close when we were growing up. And she just dropped a tear and dropped her head like that. So after that, I never asked her about Cedric no more. But me and her were going in the past a lot. and we see these different families, they be having dinner, look like around Christmas and stuff. And I didn't know the meaning of it, you know what I mean? But a few years later, like probably about 20 years later, she told me, say, all them places we were going in the past, in the future, them was you. And I'm like, what you mean that was me? I say, I ain't saw me. She say, everybody you saw the back of their head was you. Because you can't look them in the face because it might cause some kind of, psychological damage, she told me. So I say, everybody, the back of the head I saw was me. I said, but what about when that man and lady were playing in the snow? I say, I can see the man, but I only saw the back of the lady head. She said, you was the lady. I say, I was the white lady? And she said, yeah, you was the lady. Everybody we visit and you saw the back of their head was you. And I still ain't get the meaning, because somebody probably 10 or 11 year old now. And then we went to the Bahamas again, right? And I didn't know what was going on. But there also was a guy, he was standing in the hallway, right? Every night when we go to sleep. And one day, I say, Cedric, it's a man in the hallway. He said, man, leave me alone, man. Ain't no man in no hallway, man. Go to sleep, man. I say, Cedric ain't lying. It's a man in the hallway. And when I woke Cedric up, when he got really woke up, he said, man, now I got to go to the bathroom. And Cedric got out to go to the bathroom. And he walked to the door and said, ah! He woke up the whole night. So my mama and daddy run out their bedroom, right? Me and Cedric at our doorway. And my mama say, who is you? Who is you? And my daddy say, you done broke in the wrong house, mister. You don't know who you messing with. So at that time, we heard the door open. And that was my brother. We called the doom. And he was a bad dude, you know what I mean? So he come in there drunk. And my mama say, Junior, do you know that guy in the hallway? And he said, Mama, I don't know who he is, Mama. But he got to step to the door. And my mama said, well, you need to step because he ain't moving. So next thing I know, my brother just swinging and kicking and swinging and kicking and swinging and kicking. And my mama tapped him on the shoulder. She said, hey, Mr. Doom, I don't think you're going to win that one. He said, no, Mama, just give me some time. She said, no, Mr. Doom, since you by the light, cut that light off. When he cut the light off, she said, cut that light, that light on. When he cut the light on, the guy disappeared. And she said, Mrs. Doom, cut the light back off. Cut it off. The man standing there in the hallway. She said, cut that light off one more time. The man disappeared. The man came back, cut the light on. The man was gone. And I'm like, I'm just a little boy. Because I've been scared of this fella a good while. I've been looking at him. And she said, oh, y'all two little boys come sleep with me and your daddy because that's a ghost. And we couldn't really see him. He was a shadow, You can see the outline, the brim hat, the baggy, clothes and stuff. And he just standing there. So one time, we went to the Bahamas. And when we went to the Bahamas, there was no electricity, no running water. So me and my brother, what we have to do, and I think I was 10 and he was 12, we have to chop much wood as we can. We have to grind rice all day, grinding the rice. And we have to get coconuts. We have to, we catch crab, conch. We just have to get food there because ain't no stoves on the island back then. And my grandparents were old, so we do everything, clean the house, blah, 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 blah. So one day we met this biology guy. And he said, hey, y'all want some fish for y'all grandma? Oh, yeah. So we got on a little dinghy boat in a net. So we go out in the ocean on this little regular dinghy boat, right? And next thing I know, the ocean turned black. I mean, jet black. Then the clouds turned jet black all of a sudden, right? And the guy say, them stingray, them stingray. And water was coming in the boat, and we were bailing the water out the boat. And then I was finna dive in because I seen my grandparent and my daddy on the edge of the water because a little Bahamian boy when he got them because he thought we was gonna die. And when I was finna jump in, the guy grabbed my trunk and he said, "You jump in, you're gonna die." He said, "The stingray gonna knock you out." And he said, "Them stingrays are running from sharks." So now it's raining and it pouring. You can't even see your hand in front of you, you know? It's jet black in 12 noon. It's jet black. So my grandmama's screaming, my dad is screaming. Then all of a sudden, boom, the sun shining. I mean, in seconds, the sun shining. We go to the edge, right? We all go home. Soon as we step on my granny porch, when she had a big porch, the rain went to pouring down like it was raining cats and dogs. So that night, right, me and my brother were sitting on the porch in the dark. Remember, ain't no electricity there. Our only lights are light bulbs. They call them light bulbs. When they fly, they bright up the sky, these bulbs. And we sitting there, and we heard singing. That's what he said. What that noise? He said, "Oh no." Then we seen objects. They float. They singing. They dancing in circles. And me and Cedric, my granny and pops, they run outside with the lantern. And then she say, "Oh my God, you got to go get your father." And my daddy say, get him for what? She say, "Go get your father if you even got the totem out," right? When she went and got my granddaddy, which is a wise man, you know, on the island, them guys be wise, you know. And he said, "Kneel y'all head and pray." So he went to praying, you know, blah, 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 blah. Angels and ghosts by the thousands, you know what I mean? Or spirits, angels, whatever they were, I don't know what they were, but they were singing and dancing. And my granddaddy say, that makes sense now. Why they stopped the storm just long enough for these two little boys to get home. You say one of these little boys is well protected. And something they're playing for them. You say, I don't know which one, but something playing for them, right? So my daddy went in the house, my granny, and she said, "Y'all babies sleep out here with the angel." And we like, what? All these years we've been dying to sleep outside in the jungle? And now she gonna let us sleep outside, you know, and it raining and spirits everywhere? And my daddy say, no, don't let them sleep outside. She say, "Man, are you pure evil? Have you seen all these spirits and angels and stuff floating around? They here for these two little boys. Let them stay outside to show appreciation for the angels and spirits saving their life." And me and my brother never forgot that day because we were happy, you know, because we got to sleep outside in the jungle that night. You know what I mean? And we watched the angels and all them dance and sing until we fell asleep about 2 in the morning, you know, and we woke up the next morning about 8 o'clock. But that day changed my life because now I know the man in the hallway, the little angel girl, all these people is with me for some reason. And before I left, my granddaddy said, "I need to talk to you," you know, and I always get in trouble there, you know. And he said, "I think them angels are for you." He said, "All I'm asking you is to stay out of trouble because every other day you almost get killed. You know what I mean? You know, like falling out of coconut trees or falling off a rock mountain and I just walking in quicksand and all kind of stuff. You say every other week you almost get killed. You say if something happened to you, your mama never gonna forgive me, my wife, or your dad. He say, but God got a plan for you, and I just want you to stay out of trouble so you can make it to your journey. He say, you got some kind of journey because I have never saw that many angels of spirit. He said, matter of fact, I never even saw one. And I'm in my 90s, and I don't have long. But you just made me the happiest old man in the world. And I say, why, Grandpa? He say, now I know it's something after this life because of you, son. You know, I didn't really understand because I'm still 10-year old. And I talk, you know, I see ghosts every day and I travel with angels. You know what I mean? So to me, it was normal. So when we went back home, this guy standing over my bed every day, me and my brother say. The same guy in the hallway, he's standing in the doorway, he's looking at us. And the family got used to it because one day he woke my mama up in the daytime because my brother was drunk and he was burning eggs or peanuts or something, right? So my mama say, hey, all y'all come here. So we go. She say, that guy ain't my brother in the hallway. She say, I seen the real person. I said, what you mean? She say, that's a white man. And he ain't dangerous because he woke me up. And he wouldn't have woke me up, all us would have, you know, got burned up. The house would have got burnt down. He woke me up and pointed at the kitchen. She say, when I walked in the living room, all I seen was smoke. And I go in the kitchen, it's a pot of peanuts burnt on fire. So I say, the guy ain't brought down because my mama thought that was her brother. She said, no, that ain't Bro John, that's a white man. So he dressed like a old golfer. One of them 1800 golfers, right? So now I'm puzzled because why he's standing in the doorway, right? So now I'm 13. Me and my brother basically got the house by ourselves because my big brothers there, they live with their girlfriend. My mama and daddy, we had a 3-section of house. They lived in the Miller and the Bike, but they never come past the kitchen, which was a 3-bedroom living room. So me and my brother, all through since the 6th grade, right, we were living by ourselves. And I basically didn't see my parents, me and him. We basically only seen our parents a couple of times, you know, out the month or the week. So one day I was home by myself. I had to go to the bathroom, right? So I walked by the man. I walked by. And for some reason, I said, what's up? And walked by him. He never talked, you know. I went to the bathroom, come back, and when I walked past him, he said, hey, do you see me? I turned around. Man, the whole family see you, man. What you mean do we see you? We've been seeing you for the last 15 years, bro. 13 years. He said, that's totally impossible. I say, sir, you got on a baggy shirt with suspenders. You got on pinstripe pants, and you got on a brim hat, sir. He said, that's totally impossible. He said, I got to go check with God because I ain't never seen nothing like this before. I said, well, you go check with God, right? So he come back about 3 weeks later. And he said, God say, it's okay to talk to you as long as we don't interfere with your journey. He said, God say, you can communicate in both worlds. And I say, did God tell you why? I say, because every time I see one of y'all, y'all say it's totally impossible, and y'all go check with God, and y'all come back and say, oh, God say y'all can talk to me, but Why? Why can I see ghosts? Why can I travel out of my body? Please, sir, tell me why. He said, I'm not in a position to ask God them type of questions. He said, when God talks, I listen. I'm God's messenger. So since he wouldn't tell me nothing, he said, from now on, I'll be coming to you in dreams. I'll be coming to you in dreams instead of in person, because I didn't know you can see me. So I said, well, I'll see you around, right? So then my angel come, that night, like she been coming since I was 4 years old. Now I'm 13. She's still coming on, now Friday and Saturday. She rarely come on Sunday, and I say, hey, who that man be standing over my bed? She said, he good. I say, but who is he? What do he want? She said, he good. I said, man, why you don't ever answer my question? She said, he good. So then that's over. You know what I mean? So over the years, I found out this guy, because anything dealing with nature, he will come in. Like, for instance, one time all the coconut trees were dying in South Florida on the beach, right? So I was on a job, and a guy named Jack Pereira, right? He was the green chap, and he come in, and he say, I'm with the master gardener. And man, we can't see them say these coconut trees. He said 3 universities working on them, including the University of Florida. Man, we about to lose all the trees in Florida. He said, I don't know why I'm telling you, because you went to school for grass. You don't know nothing about trees, right? So that night, I went home, and I had a vivid dream. The guy in the hallway, me and him went back to the 1800s. And he ain't talking now. He handed me a pamphlet in a dream. And the pamphlet was talking about all the coconut trees died in Florida back in the 1820s or something, right? And I seen the name of the chemical. I think it's linthane. I seen the name of the chemical. And I'm like, linthane. So I woke up, and we had coconut trees dying too, So I ordered some linthane. And then I automatically ordered some stuff called orthine, for insects, because when the tree get diseased, they get weak and the insects penetrate. So I thought nothing of it. I sprayed the coconut trees on the job, Thought nothing of it, because I went over 2 golf courses, so you ain't got time to think, right? So one day, Jack Burrell walked in my office, and he looked like, he was sad. He said, hey, all the coconut trees look beautiful. He said, he don't understand. Did y'all pay somebody to spray the coconut trees, or what's going on? Because whatever happened, I need to go back to the county so they can save these trees, right? I said, I sprayed the coconut trees, man, 2 weeks ago. What you sprayed them with? Because the University of Florida and the 2 other universities say ain't nothing they can do. It's out of their hand. And I say, get some linthane or something, right? And orthine, that's what I sprayed them with. So you say, at this point, anything will work, because you don't know more to know them college professors and all them people. He said, but at this point, we'll try anything. So I said, well, I got some linthane in the chemical room, because we don't need it no more. Coconut tree fine now, right? But I gave it to him, right? 2 weeks later, he walked in my office like he was looking at a ghost. And he said, the county want me to ask you, how do you know more than professor? And you just got a golf ticket. And I say, sir, I'm going to be honest with you. Every time I have a problem, this ghost come and show me what to do. Even all throughout college, this ghost helped me make inventions, helped me solve problems. And I told him about the dream, and he say, man, that weird. So a couple of months later, they were losing all the red cedar. The guy in the dream, me and him went to the red cedar, the same red cedar on my job. He got some white paper, hit the branch against the white paper, and I seen a bunch of little red things. And he said, them spiders, red spiders. Now you should know what to do. So I woke up the next morning, went to the job, got some paper, hit it, whoop, bunch of red things was on it, I took it to my microscope, and they were spirals. But the average person can't see them, because the only thing they would have seen was little red dust, right? So I brought some F-45 or thing, sprayed all the red cedar, forgot about it, because I'm busy. I'm on a 54-hole golf course manager. Jack Burrell walked in my office, right? He said, man, all the trees are healthy. He said, we about to lose all the trees in St. Lucie County. What you spray on? I said, oh, F-45. He said, but how you know? Because the university came from figure it out. I say, the man in the dream come back, man, and I told him about it, and he said, you know what? Your knowledge is not from college. He said, man, your knowledge from God. And he took that stuff to the county, right? And they saved all the red and white cedar in St. Lucie County. But one day, he came to me in a physical form. Now, I still don't know today whether he was an angel or a watcher or a guide, right? But he was helping me with my journey. So he came to me, and this is the power they got. He came to me at my house. And when he touched my hand, we were in our old house where the graveyard was, which was tore down. It's part of the church property now. But we were in that house, and all the furniture was exactly the same. And I was confused because, I know that house is tore down now, right? So he said, God told me I can come and say goodbye. And I say, what you mean say goodbye, man? I'm catching hell. What you mean? He said, you and I are the same people. God was doing a research on racism because we don't know about hate, what y'all got down on earth. You say, hate is a part of free will. So we trying to learn much as we can, and you and I were part of the experiment, right? And I say, man, you leaving me? Say, God called off the research. God said he's seen enough. He said, me as a white man became rich and famous with little or no effort. And you are the same people. We possess the same spirit of Old Tom Morris. And I'm like, who is Old Tom Morris? He said, Old Tom Morris is a golf pioneer back from the 1800s. And you and him and I share the same spirit, right? And he said, God told me to answer any question you have before I say goodbye. And I said, since God say I'm going through extreme racism, and I worked 100 times harder, and I'm still 100 times poor, I say, is God going to help me? And he said, we can't help you, son. And I said, man, what you mean you can't help me, man? Y'all just said I'm getting the short end of the stick, no matter how hard I work. He said, Part of your journey is to figure out racism and to see, can you overcome it? Man, I can't overcome no racism, man. I'm on these golf courses, man. And none of the best. And they still treated me like trash, man. Man, please go tell God, can I get the hell out of here? I want to go, man. I can't do it no more. Say, son, you got to finish your journey. Because we trying to learn about racism. And I say, well, can y'all please help me? He said, we can't, son. When God made free will, he made it so him or the angel can't interfere with nothing caused by man. He said, man caused hate. Man caused racism. And man got to figure it out. And I'm like, that's why ain't nobody helped the slave? He said, I can't answer that one. He said, but all I know, if we don't fix man problem. So I say, how do I know all this free? He say, son, I'm Bobby Jones, the frame of God. You can see I got richer frame, and you worked 100 times harder. You 100 times poorer. He said, but let me say this. How many people can play golf for the first time with a legendary golfer like Mickey Wright and beat without ever having lesson? And I said, oh my God. Because then nobody know about that but me and Mickey Wright. And I never talked about it, you know. So when he said that, I know he was real. So we said our goodbyes. And then I still don't know who Bobby Jones was. But then like in 2024, I was looking at a picture. It was called The Stroke of Genius. And I'm like, wow. You know, I love golf movies because I'm a golf major. And I'm looking at the movie and I'm looking at my childhood. Except for it was a guy. And I'm like, he was handicapped. I was handicapped. He's a lawyer. And the government research say, from the White House say, I will make any lawyer on this planet look like a fool in a courtroom without even studying the case. You know, and I'm like, he's a lawyer. And then President Clinton say, I can make any lawyer look stupid. He was handicapped, and he taught himself how to play golf. And I was handicapped. And, you know, I used to get my daddy golf club, right? And I used to hit him in the bike lot because it was a big bush. And I used to hit them past the bushes and hit them people's house with it. And I didn't know, you know, I'm just a little boy about 11 or 12 years old. And I'm just hitting these golf balls like a pro. And when he said that, I know he was telling the truth. You know what I mean? Because nobody know about me and Mickey Wright, but me and Mickey Wright. Because we were best friends. You know, I didn't even know she was famous until I got fired and I saw her on Jeopardy. You know, and then that when I asked my daddy, them call us working together. Hey man, why y'all ain't tell me who that lady was? I said, I know she was a golfer, but I didn't know she was the most famous woman golfer on the planet, you know? So that's the story about the man in the hallway, basically. You know, and he was Bobby Jones. Bobby Jones. And he said him and me was the same. And it makes sense because I was solving problems in golf, even in college. The teacher was amazing. You know what I mean? They say, man, how you get this knowledge? And you never worked on a golf course. So you got the experience of someone who's been on a golf course 30, 40 years. That's what everybody was telling me. And I thought they were picking at me because when I was in college, I couldn't read. You know what I mean? I ain't learned how to read till my second year of college. All these professors telling me this, you know, the like the ones from Australia and all that, my director, he said, man, you the smartest student I ever had. And I get mad because I say, man, that man picking at me. I can't read. But then the student, when I ask a question, the student will say, man, how you knew that? Say, we never worked on a golf course yet. Say, you know stuff with somebody who been managing golf courses for 20, 30 years now. And I'm still confused, because I don't know how I'm answering these questions. The answer just will come, So even in college, I was shocking people, so without knowing. But like President Clinton say, I'm chosen by God. I was chosen by God to close the book on Black history and slavery, and they keep saying 100 years after I die, I'm going to be famous, and all this stuff. But that's just how a chosen one luck go, because everything bad happening going to happen. Now, if it was somebody else, they would have been famous right then, you know what I mean? After what I did in college. But with my luck, the college told me, oh, you're going to be famous 100 years after you die. I ain't thought nothing of it. My goddaddy told me, who was Ted Bundy in the nearby prison, He kept saying, you very special, godson. You very special. And I say, what you mean I'm special, man? And I communicate with Ted through the work release guys, And they say, man, Ted say you special, godson. And I say, hey, man, you go tell Ted that ain't with that gay stuff now. And I asked him how he know I was in the retarded class. Because he keep calling me special, man. Tell that man I ain't messing with him no more now. He ain't got to give me no money no more now. And they say, hey, man, he don't mean you retarded. He just say you special. Say, we'll talk to Ted and let him write you a letter so you can see what Ted talking about, right? So when the prisoner from work release brings a letter from Ted Bundy, Ted have them to read it to me the way he would say it, the way he was saying it to them. So they say, Ted say, the reason he called you special, because you in an area where if a black man look at a white man wrong, he dead. Ted say for 2 years, you've been beating up these white men every week, these Ku Klux Klan, wherever they is every week, and you still live. Ted say you special. You got to be part of history. And also, Ted say everybody say you be in classes where they never seen a black man for the last 30 years. You be in the area of the college where no black people never been for the last 30 years. These guys working on work release. Say you be in class look like with 30 millionaires. And you poor. That's why Ted have to feed you. Because you ain't got no money to eat, And I'm like, wow. And they say Ted also say he never seen a black golf course man. So you got to be part of history. Now you get this letter and you go read it. And you remember who was feeding you. Remember who clothed you when you were clothed. You owe that man respect. So, I got the letter and read it, blah, blah, blah. Me and Ted made back up. I still ain't get it, right? Ain't get it. Because I'm trying to survive every day. I'm in college and I can't read, and the pressure of the teachers telling me I'm not going to make it because I'm first grade reading, second grade math, and the pressure got to me. And I told Ted, God, that I'm finna go to the military, man, so I can die in the war. But I send you my paycheck every month, right? And he said, godson, I can use some money, but we got to get our degree. We got to get our degree. He said, I failed at getting my degree. Now I'm living my life through you. We got to get our degree, son. And I say, Ted, I can't read, God, Dad. I can't read, man. I want to get out of here. And he said, you let God worry about the ifs, ands, and the buts. He said, God got you here on a mission. And right now, you got the you, you got the resources to stay in college. He said, just you can't read and you in your second year of college. Speak volume for itself. He said, when God give you a mission, only thing you got to do is beat it. Let God worry about how you're going to read. Let God worry about you getting your degree. He said, God going to give you your degree, son. You think you fighting week after week, the most dangerous game in America, and still living? He said, God going to get you there, right? So now I'm flunking out of school. I go to a friend. I say, Jeff, man, I got a problem. I said, what's your problem? He said, I ain't never seen you upset, man. I said, Jeff, I'm flunking out of college. I can't read. He said, I can't help you. He said, we too close to the midterm. He said, I can't help you. He said, I'm trying to keep my B average. And I said, man, I understand, man. You know? And then a week or two later, Jeff come back. He said, you know what? If you leave college, all the black guys in the dorm going to have to leave. Because the claim going to start beating all us up again every week. So he said, I got to teach you to read. If not, I got to go find me another college. He said, so I'm going to tell you what, come here at 8 o'clock every day. And I see what I can do. He told me, right? Then America happened. In 4 weeks, I'm reading like a professor. I didn't even know this. But one day me and Jeff were reading, he was reading to me. And Jeff said, hey, I don't know why I'm reading to you when you can read. I said, what you mean I can read? Man, I can't read. He said, read that. I read it. Turn the page. Read that. I read it. Turn the page. Read that. I read it. Turn the page. And I'm like, wow. So one day we sit in the lunchroom, me, Jeff, and a bunch of other guys, right? And Jeff said, everybody shut up. Let Doom talk. So Jeff went asking me questions, and I'm answering the question. And I'm like, dude, me and you supposed to be best friends. Why you laughing at me asking me these stupid questions? And I know you don't want these hands, bro. He said, no, Doom, I don't want no hands, man. I said, but why you keep asking me these stupid questions and everybody keep laughing at me, man? He said, Doom, hold on. He said, any of y'all know there's something about the door? And everybody said, no. He said, for the first time, Doom is talking normal. He said, when I learned Doom how to read, his brain must have automatically learned him how to talk. He said, Doom, you talking normal. And I'm like, for real? Bro, you talking? No, man. For real? Y'all understand? And everybody went to laugh, which is another miracle happened. You know what I mean? So now I learned how to talk. I learned how to read. My grades went from C's and D's on making straight A's. Straight A's and B's across the board, right? The college changed the test 2 times. And they said that the first time the test was changed in the history of the college, for the golf program. And every class I go in, the instructors, when we catch the guy who cheats, he won't go to college nowhere in America. Never again. And they look at me dead in my eye, accusing me of cheating in front of the whole class. Everybody laughing, They changed the test. Everybody else, grades got lower, mine got higher. So they accused me of breaking in the teacher allowance, stealing the test like a slave. And I said, man, I don't even know where the teacher allowance is at, man. You know what I mean? They changed the test again. My grade got higher or stayed the same. I mean, straight A. The grade got lower. So I graduated and became a part of history as a rural academic real history major. But to the lynching story, the claims would come on to college every Friday and Saturday. They were beating up the student. And this is the first week of school. Nobody never let me fight because they say, you too little, you're going to get hurt. Man, you ain't nothing but 128 pounds. You can't fight them big old guys that weigh 400 pounds. Some of them, right? Nobody let me fight. Then one day, we were looking at Soul Train, and the claim had them told us, the next time we find out Soul Train on that TV, we're going to hurt somebody. You know what I mean? So all of us looking at Soul Train because none of our black guys got TV. And the only black show came on was Soul Train. It came on Fridays and Saturdays at 1 o'clock, right? We're in the TV line. The dude knocked my leg down. I put it back up. Knocked my leg down. Put it back up. He said, I see that karate suit hanging in your room, boy. But you too little to hurt anybody. I don't care how much karate you do. Now you put that leg up there one more time, and you're gonna wish you won buck. I put my leg up. He slapped me so hard, it sounded like a shotgun, and all of us went to run. All of us ran to our room, scared to death because, we young guys, some of these guys from New York, Canada, and all these places, they're on the basketball team. And we didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? I just seen KKKs where I live at, like when they be protesting around the high school when I was in high school. But I never seen one up close, right? So we go to our room, and I'm like, man, somebody give me a quarter. I got to call home, man. Man, that man slapped me, man. So I got my quarter. I called my dad. Hey, man, you got to come get me, man. We were just looking at Soul Train, and the man slapped me. Say, son, you go to school to learn. I say, bro, do you hear me? This man slapped me. But you go to school to learn. I said, man, put my mama on the phone. So when I put my mama on the phone, when he put my mama on the phone, I said, mama, man, I was there looking at you and slept. My mama said, all them years, you been taking karate. Don't let no man put their hands on you. If you go to jail, I will get you out. But can't no man beat you, son. No man. If they hit you, hit them back, right? Remind you, I'm just 128 pounds. So the claim comes 3 o'clock in the morning and say, if we want everybody out this door, out in the front, or we're going to start kicking doors. So all the hippies come out, all the blacks come out, because we ain't got no choice. Them boys to kick the doors in, right? So I try to fight. The hippies stop. They say, we got it, bro. We got it, bro. You too little, man. You too little. So then my roommate, which was the black guy, named John, he fought 2 or 3 of them, and John got tired, right? So the third guy, boom, slammed John with gravity, because John was pushing forward, and the guy just jumped right, slammed John on the car. So I jumped in, and I grabbed a guy, bloop, a big guy, bloop, smash your head. Blood when it coming out. And then all of a sudden, everything turned red, yellow, and orange. I see no people. All I see is color. All I see is color. And I remember the big old 400-pound dude coming at me. And I can see him. I see the image, a big round image, so I know it was him. And it was yellow. Then it was orange. And then when it got red, I fell back and kicked my leg out. And next thing I know, he went flying. And everybody went to running. So I run back to the room. And my roommate looked at me. He said, man, who is you? And I'm like, what you mean, man? He said, man, you just whooped the whole clan group. Man, we didn't know you can fight. Who is you? Is you Bruce Lee's son or who the hell is you, man? I say, I don't know, man. I say, I don't know what just happened, bro. I said, what did I do? He said, man, you broke the biggest, baddest clan leg was sticking out his blue jean below the knee. He went straight to the blue jean, and they throw him on back of a truck and took him to the hospital. You's a dead man, Rumi. Down the claim. And I'm scared to death. You know what I mean? I'm scared to death. And I don't know what's going on. You know, the guy in the hallway coming, talking to me, you know, the GOAT, Bobby Jones, he ain't saying nothing. You know, I'm talking to my angel. She ain't saying nothing. You know, they say nothing about fighting. Even when I was in elementary, I got beaten and robbed from kindergarten to the 5th grade, 2 to 3 times a day, 5 days a week, from the kindergarten to the 5th grade. The angel saying nothing. But when I got in high school, the angel went to telling me, you know, she said, I need to take you somewhere. I said, take me where? Next thing I know, we in the halls of record in heaven. It's the biggest library in the universe, and it stores all our lives. And she showed me, you know, like architect paper roll up, parchment paper, they would roll up. She said, these are your past lives, right? And I say, all them lives? She say, I've been training you for millions of years as a warrior in God's army and training in heaven. And I remember all the training on heaven and earth, right? So then she showed me my future life. And there were so many, I almost started crying. I said, man, why I got to live all these lives? She said, 1,000,000 years ago, when you sign up for your life journey, you sign up all your life journey at one time. You have a contract with God. And once you finish all them lives, you will have eternal life. And you never have to come to earth again. But if you do decide to come back to earth, you never lose your eternal life status. I say, well, I will never come back here, man. I ain't gonna come back. How can I get out of this? She said, you can't, son. You can't break a contract with God. So I'm looking at the life, right? So I pick one up, the present, right? And she said, what you want to look at? I said, I want to see when I die. She said, oh, whoa. I got to get God permission for you to see that. She said, but why would you want to see that? Because it could mess up your whole journey and cause psychological damage with you knowing the exact date when you're going to die and how you're going to die. She said, but let me ask God first, because he just showed me to show you the halls of records and all the life we live. And I said, well, I don't ask God. You know, I don't want to know when I'm going to die. You know, just forget it. I just wanted it to happen when it happened. And I say, tell me something. Why do God want me to see this? She said, God said, for your next journey, you can't have no fear of death. And I don't know what she's talking about, you know, because I'm getting beat up every day. You know what I mean? Even my mom asked me one day, she said, do you still talk to the angel? I said, yeah, mom. She said, I'm a warrior. And my mama said, well, she need to give you more training because You know, you getting your butt whooped every day. You know, and I say, I don't know, mama. The ladies say I'm a warrior. You know what I mean? And I still didn't understand because, like I say, I getting beat up every day. Then one day, me and my brother mow yards, you know, from 5 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. Then one day, we rode by Lincoln Park. And I got out of the car and said, Cedric, Sparky. So you say, hey, man, remember that man, he crazy. He beat up 9 police with handcuffs behind their back. The only way they beat him was to use them sticks. And I say, but we got a tournament, a champions to go to. He says, David, please please don't mess with Sparky, David. Because Cedric was scared because Cedric can beat me. You know what I mean? So I went to Lincoln Park and I say, Sparky, you my idol. And he said, yeah. You want to work out? He said, all I got left is sit up and run laps. He said, we can run laps together. Go home and get your karate suit. I run home and get my karate suit. Come back. I said, you ready to run? I already did my run. I said, well, what you want to do? He said, ain't nothing left to do but to stop, bro. I said, oh, okay. Now I'm still about 128 pounds. Maybe 138, I mean. I was 138. This guy like 240 pounds almost. He might have been 228, but it looked like 240 to a little boy. You know, I was number 13-year-old, right? And we started sparring. He coming at me like Mike Tyson. And I'm like, whoa, man, I'm just a little kid, bro. So I don't give a damn if you a 10-year-old. You got on the black belt. And I said, man, you crazy, man. And I ran home, right? I ran home. Went to go in the bedroom before I could take my karate suit off. Said you come in the room. He said, hey, Sparky outside with about 30 people. I said, what you mean? He said, Sparky said, you and him supposed to fight. He said, man, let Lonnie join you. A root man give. I said, no, dog. He and I in our house knocking on the door. So you say, yeah. I said, no, dog. I ain't with that program, bro. So you say, David, there's no way you can beat this man. He gonna kill you. I opened up the door. I said, what's up, bro? He said, we supposed to fight. I said, what you mean we supposed to fight, man? I'm just a little kid. But you don't come to my house with all this, man. He said, like I said, punk, we supposed to fight. And by the time he said that, I don't know what happened. I hit him so many times, I knock him on the bike street. I mean, I down the road, and all the people say, go to the bike, go to the bike. As I was going to the bike, right? Somebody went and got my daddy out the game. And my daddy said, he just a kid. He just 13-year-old. The guy say, I don't give a damn if he 10-year-old. If he's a black belt, I'm going to whoop his butt, and you can get in line and get some too. And my daddy looked at me. He said, you sure you want to fight him, son? I said, if you don't tell mama. She said, I don't know, Sean. That man hurt you bad. I'm going to have to tell your mom. I said, Pops, he ain't going to hurt. I work out 8 hours a day, Pop. So we go back there, right? I beat him down. And this guy was the #1 karate heavyweight in the world, right? After I beat him down, I guess my brother heard about it, Rupert. The fight was over with, and Rupert come charging Sparky, right? Everybody say, Root man. Hey, your little brother wrong. Root man say, what you mean that little boy won? That's Sparky. They said, Root man, your baby brother beat that man down, dog. He said, that boy just 13. So at that time, my dad was like, Rupert, David, y'all come in the house with me. So we go in the house. And my dad sat down and he looked at me. He said, son, I'm one of the biggest fight fans you ever want to see. I've seen them all. You say, I don't know what God got planned for you because I never saw nothing like that in my life. Every punch, every kick sounded like a shotgun blast. He say, they say that guy is a karate champ, heavyweight of the world. He said, but you got to make me a promise. And he said, Root man, I want you to talk to all your other brothers. I see y'all messing with this little guy. And he said, nah, I don't know who this guy is. He said, I don't know what God got planned for. But tell your other brothers, whatever they do, don't mess with that little boy. Because what I just seen ain't real. So he said, promise me you'll never fight your brother. You'll never fight nobody your age. And I say, why, Daddy? He say, son, you will kill somebody. So now I'm confused. I don't know how I beat this big monster, because he was a monster. Basically the #1 thug in the world, because he's the #1 heavyweight in the world, karate, So me and Root Man got in the car. So Root Man say, boy, who is you, little boy? Man, you just beat the man. And I say, Root Man, why he hate me? He said, don't cry, little brother. That man crazy. Don't cry, little brother. I said, but he gonna come looking for me, Root Man? He said, boy, the way they say you whoop that man, he ain't gonna look for you, boy. Because as you get older, you gonna get strong. And he said, I heard you beat Pondexter the other week. They say you knocked them down 6 times. And I said, oh yeah. He was training me for Sparta. He told me Sparta was gonna look for me to fight. And he said, they also say you beat Mad Dog 2 months ago. He said, I ain't never seen nobody beat the Mad Dog, AKA the Doom. And I said, but I was on the ground sleeping and he kicked me in my face with glasses on. He had a little son to kick me in the face while he hold my arm behind my. And he said, boy, you probably whooped my butt. We went to laughing, and I'm still crying, because I just fought my idol, my hero, and I could understand why he wanted to hurt me, you know what I mean? So now I'm still confused at who I am. I'm in high school, going to the 9th grade, and I just beat the #1 heavyweight in the world. So when I get to high school, I was a hero. But I still don't understand. And my angel's still coming every night. She training me. She teaching me all about the universal law. And one day, I find out I can come in and out of my body anytime I want. But I didn't know they knew. Ain't no God knew in her. And I was trying to pop that cord. You know what I mean? Because I ain't want to be on earth no more. I got beat up and bullied my whole life, So one day I woke up 3 o'clock, 3:33 the bed light. For some reason, 3:33, between 3:33 and 5 is the main time they come, but they can come anytime, but that'd be the main time my angel comes. So I woke up 3:33. I go in the kitchen. I decided I want me some pork chop, eggs, and grits when it get 8 o'clock. So I took them out the freezer, put them in the oven so they can thaw out. I go back on my bed. I'm sitting on the bed, just like I'm sitting now. I'm looking at TV. I see my angel popped up. And I'm like, hey, you ain't pulled me out my body. She say, oh, be real, David. We know you've been coming out of your body. God say it's okay for you to come out your body. We only been doing this since you were 4-year-old, David. I said, yeah, I come out the body. But I don't know why. She said, one thing I do know, if you pop that cord, you're going to be right back here again in another body without getting ready. I said, what you mean? She said, if you pop that cord, that means you're running away from your responsibility and you're reneging on a contract, what you signed up with God. And then she explained to me about suicide, right? And I say, is it true when somebody commits suicide, they go to hell. And she said, God is not a true God. He comforts his lost children, especially the ones who had suicide. She said the category for suicide is long, long, long. You got all types of suicide. She said the one who get overwhelmed with their journey and kill themselves. When they go on the other side, God let them get as much rest as they could. Then God retrained them. He sent them to college to retrain them, to show them where they went wrong at. And God give them a choice of whether they ever want to come back to earth or they stay in heaven at the level they earned when they killed themselves. But she said, no, them will be exception until finishing their contract. They don't have to finish all their life no more if they don't want to. And she said the only suicide God don't forgive is when somebody kill themselves and others, like their wife and children, because they're trying to get away from their journey, so they want to bring others with them. She said, but if you pop that cord, we know you trying to pop that cord, David. She said, I told you, don't never get too far, because if that cord pop, you can't make it back to your body. She said that cord is the lifeline to your body. So I say, so if I kill myself, she said, we know you've been trying to kill yourself since you've been in elementary days. And that's why God gave you extra protection with angels, because you have an important journey. And I said, well, what journey I got? I got a journey to get beat up every day, get my lunch money took. That's my journey. I ain't eat lunch in 5 years. I ain't eat lunch from the first grade to the fifth. What you mean? I got a journey. She said, you have a journey, David. You are a warrior. And it's part of your training. Then I say, well, I go to hell. She said, what is this hell you talking about? What you mean? I say in the Bible, it say, if you're a sinner, you go to hell. What you mean? What is the Bible? So now I'm trying to explain to her for hours what a Bible is, what hell is. So then I got frustrated and I said, you know what? Let me go get my Bible. It's right here on the bed. I got my Bible. She touched it. And it was a big Bible. They call it the book, you know, big Bible. She touched it. And in 1 second, she read the whole Bible. And she looked at me and grinned. And I said, what's so funny? She said, the book is only 10% true. I say, but God governed that book when it was written. She said, God have nothing to do with that book. That book is man-made for the governments in every country to control each person. She said, do you know what happened if people had no fear of death? So y'all earthling need this book so y'all can have a conscience. Because without a conscience, y'all will run rapid. So I say, what book or Bible to God bless? Which Bible do he go for? She said, what you keep saying a Bible? She said, God accept any book what man write that make humans better. Long as it make humans better, God accept it. He don't deny any book. As long as it make a person better. So now she went to teach me about the universal laws, you know, right and wrong, good and bad, and all that stuff. So now I know, you know, 'cause I read all type of religion, all kind of Bible. I still do today, you know, because she say 10% true. So I want to catch that 10%. And I respect everybody's religion, everybody's opinion, right? So Now, a couple of years have passed. I'm in probably the 12th grade. Now, one day I was sitting on the bed around 3 something, and I'm looking at TV. And I see my angel on the side of me. And I said, man, I can't get over it. You don't have to take me out of my body no more. She said, what you mean? I said, you used to take me out of my body from the age of 4 to like, 16 or whatever. She said, David, you out of your body. I said, man, I'm not out of my body. I'd have been all through the house this morning. She said, David, you are out of your body. And we got a training set. I said, I'm not out of my body. She said, look in the back of you. And I said, how's that possible? She said, David, you can come out of your body on your own. I said, well, I ain't come out my body. She said, well, sometimes it just happens. But we have a training set. I would like to show you your team. And I'm like, what team? Bloop. The den was full because I sleep in the den, right? Big. It was full up with entities. And I'm like, who them people? She say, all this is your team, your spiritual team. As you younger, you might have 60 or more. But as you get older, they reduce. And I say, why? She say, because the older you get, the less risks you take. The younger you is, the more risk you take. And she showed me one, right? He was on a bicycle. And he was from this planet. I don't know where he was from. But he was one weird looking dude. And he was on a bicycle. And she said, that's who working your heart. And I say, the man looked like he about finna fall out. She said, no, he just looked like that. But that's his job, is to work your heart, to keep your heart open. Then she showed me another one. It was about, I can't tell, maybe 30 or maybe 60. It was so many I couldn't tell, right? And some of them were from Earth. Some of them was from other universes. Not even in our universe, they're from other universes. And she said, them your team. And then there was that one sitting down, like close to me, right in front of me. And all of a sudden, he hit me with red beams. And I was like weak, because I've been fighting Hank or shadows my whole life. Even when I was young, like 4 and 5 years old, I'm fighting these shadows. And when they walk into the room, you can't move. You can't scream, you can't do nothing. But this guy hit me with something so powerful. I couldn't understand. And I'm like, I'm dying. And the angel right there over my shoulder. She said, David, this is a part of your training session. God said you must go through. Your power is in your eyes. You must show no fear when you're dealing with any entities, God, entity. Look him in his eye. And don't be scared. Say, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. And they will get weaker. And as they get weaker, because they know you don't fear them. When they know you don't fear them, they get weaker. When you fear them, they get stronger. And you get weaker. So you must never show fear. And as soon as one walk into that room, but it's dark, just start rebuking them in the name of Jesus Christ, in the blood of the Lamb. But I don't use the blood of the Lamb because when they come, they power. I just say, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. And normally they disappear. But some of them be so powerful, I have to say that look like 500 times. And they get stronger and stronger. That's why they just disappear, But I'm fighting the guy, so I'm looking him in the eye and I'm saying, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus Christ. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Then after a while, I had some pure white beams. And they started pushing his red beams back. And when the white beams got to his actually touching, he exploded and screamed. And she said, this is your lesson for me. And I'm like, man, what the purpose of all this, you know? Now then one day, you know, probably about a couple of months later, she comes. Right? Again, she's sitting on the bed, just popped up out of nowhere. And she said today's lesson is about free will. What is free will? She said God gave human free will so he can test their faith and test their loyalty and test their prayer. And I'm saying, what you mean? She said, you ever heard that voice in your head? Say no. You ever heard that voice in your head? Say don't do that. I say, yeah. What is that voice? She said, him. And pointed at my shoulder. And it was a man sitting on my shoulder. And it was another man on this shoulder. She said, he's going to tell you the right thing to do. He's going to tell you the wrong thing to do. She said, for instance, if you see someone in front of you walking and they drop some money, you pick it up. He's going to say, keep it. That's his fault. Trying to keep it. And he's going to say, do the right thing. That man may got children. He may got beat. And she say, and that where the judgment come in. God don't only judge us by our actions. He also judges us by our thoughts. Now, what you do with that money, you're going to have to pay for when you get to heaven. And she said, what will you do? I said, oh, I give them their money back. She said, that what you supposed to do? She said, but we got choices in life. And then some more people pop, right? She said, they try to help you make your dream come true. And they try to make your dream not come true. They would throw all kind of intimidating tricks to you to break God's law. But they will try to tell you to do the right thing. She said, all about this life, we are judged by our action and our thoughts. If you think it, it's just as bad as doing it, she said. And we had about an hour session, you know, on our free will and the right thing and the wrong thing and the right thing and the wrong. And I'm still confused as to what my journey is until I got to college, you know. And well, I got time to tell the lynching story. But do I have time to tell a lynching story?
We are an hour and a half in, but it's fine. I'd love to hear it.
Well, in college, you remember I told you about when I fought the claim, right? They didn't make with me no more that semester. But when we came back to college, every time the claim beat somebody up, they'd run to get me. And I'll come running like Batman. And, you know, and the claim see me, they stop. And say, you need to stay out of claim business, boy. Or you're going to get something you ain't looking for. And I say, well, give it to me now. Give it to me now. You know, they'll walk away slow. I help the guys up who they will beat up. And this happened about 15 times. Right? So one time I was going to the lunchroom and they were beating up three of my buddies. You know, two of them on the basketball team and one was a regular student named Kirk, who live in the Bahamas. So we like brothers because, you know, my daddy's from the Bahamas, you know. So I put hands on them. You know, I put hands on them and to get them off them guys. They say, boy, you're going to wish you would never live. We told you to stay out of claim business, boy. Now you got to thought nothing of it, you know. One day I was coming from class, 12 o'clock. I went in my room. Somebody knocked on the door. Knock. I looked through the people. I seen a man 7 foot tall. And he had gone with 8 foot tall. Right? And he looked like he was a stone, hardcore hippie. And it was a grown man. He went on school. So I jumped out the window. Right? When I jumped out the window, I felt a gun in the back of my head. And the guy had a cast on it. And he said, I shall blow your head off. You broke my leg. So you can tell Doc Lucky that you paid me back for taking him out the high school football game and taking him out of college. So you can tell him if you live, boy, that you got revenge on him. So they told me to get up slow. Now it's a gun right here, a gun right here, a gun right here, a gun in my mouth, and the other gun still to the back of my head. They hog-tied, put me in back of the Jeep, right? Blindfold. And I'm saying to myself, at least nobody gonna find out I can read. You know what I mean? And actually, you know, remember God took away my fear of death. So all I'm thinking about, not nobody gonna find out I can't read. So we pulled in this place, like 100 miles from the car. And all I could hear was doors slamming and closing, slamming and closing, slamming and closing. Like, where am I? So they took me out, they unblindfolded me, and my heart dropped down. Thousands of planes. I don't know how many bonfires, but each bonfire represents a claim group. You know, they all not in the same group. They got separate claim groups. And I'm looking at least about 50 bonfires. And I'm like, I don't know what was going on. So they say, you in claim court, boy, of 75 charges in violation of the white man. What do you plead? Man, do y'all got to? Well, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I'm the judge, and I'm the prosecutor, and I'm the public defender, boy. And them over there is the jury. And I am the leader. I doubt if they're going to go against. So we're in claim court. And I'm looking at all these people. The other ones, you know, with the other bonfire, they ain't paying no attention to us, you know. So we, in our own little group, we having court. Then all of a sudden, the claim leader yelling, right in my face, this close. His yelling got overpowered by whispers. And I'm like, they saying, it will be over soon. It will be over soon, Davey. Don't worry. It will be over soon. So I'm like, well, I guess this is. But it took away my fear. It took away the fear. And then I was off in La La Land because it's a million eyes inside my head. All I can see were their eyes. And they also saying, it will be over soon, David. It will be over soon, David. Don't worry. Don't worry. Then shoot, I'm in Africa with people. And they all saying, it will be over soon. It will be over soon. You did good, David. You did good. You did real good, David. So I go inside. I guess my home, it was just a little straw hut. But once I went inside, I couldn't see nothing, but it was like the nucleus of my soul. You know what I mean? I can see outside, but I couldn't see inside. The next thing I know, shut, I'm back in claim court. And the claim leader, it pissed off because I'm in La La Land. He's like, the disrespect continues. Please, somebody, let's get this over with so we can kill him right now. So then now I hear dance, sing, music. And I'm saying to myself, I'm talking to them telepathically. Why are y'all celebrating and I'm about to die? I say, this is why we ain't gonna never be nothing. Because I'm finna die and y'all dancing and singing. Shoot. I'm right back in the slave village, beautiful village. In the background, it was a beautiful jungle, like probably I'd say 1,000 feet away from the village, where the village was just green, beautiful grass with straw hut. But they all were dancing and singing and celebrating. And I'm mad. I'm at the verge where I'm about to cut. What are y'all celebrating my death for, man? What is wrong with you people? What is wrong? And they didn't say nothing. They were just steady dancing, singing. They had a big circle, colorful clothes. Everything was colorful. Color is what you couldn't describe, like banana trees, the jungle. That color don't exist on Earth, And now I'm back in the claim. And the guy, I told the claim leader, right? I said, hey man, y'all do what y'all gonna do, man. Go ahead and hang me. Because now I see where I'm going. I saw where I'm going at. And I wanted to go there so I can garden and fish and just enjoy life, a peaceful life. So I wanted to get back there, on the other side. And I said, man, do what y'all got to do. And he said, did y'all hear what that boy said? I said, man, go ahead and hang, man. Do what y'all gonna do, man. Shoot me in the head, do something, man. Instead of all that talking, ain't nothing. And he said, boy, we ain't gonna hang you. That's too easy. He said, you see that tree hanging over the river? You see that truck in front of it with the rope hanging over the branch? We're gonna hang you under your arm and lower you inch by inch while the gator, the same gator that ate your ancestor offspring in the 16, 17, and 1800s, is gonna be the same gator eat you. Now this at a different level, and now I'm still, you know what I mean? I thought I was just gonna be hung or shot, but now these two talking about gator gonna eat me inch by inch, right? He said, all we doing is waiting for the final orders, right? So a guy pulled up driving 100 miles per hour. He said, please tell me y'all ain't killed that black guy. Please tell me y'all ain't killed that black guy. He said, what the hell you mean? We ain't killed the black guy. We waiting on the order. I'm ready to go home and sleep. And the guy said, well, they say don't kill that black guy unless he don't agree to these terms and stipulations, right? So he said, if he, they were saying the N-word. When I say black guy, I mean N-word. He said, the said black guy, if he agrees to be the property of the claim for the entire time he in college, we will not kill him. If he don't agree, kill him immediately. If he do agree, read him the rules and regulations. If he disagree with one of the rules and regulations, kill him immediately. So that claim leader, a sub leader, because you never see the claim leader when they doing something like that, what I mean? But he said, do you agree to be the property of the claim? Yes. I ain't got no choice. We ain't tell you we ain't ask you for your damn opinion, boy. You just say yes or no to every question. I'm like, man, these people crazy. You know what I'm saying? People crazy or something wrong with these people. So he said, When we tell you to fight, any place, anywhere, anytime, anybody we tell you to, we don't care if you taking final, we don't care if you eating lunch, we don't care if your mammy and your pappy. When we say fight, fight, or you die. Do you understand? I say, man, I don't understand that one, dog. I ain't finna agree to nothing like that. Somebody, the first one to kill him get $1,000. I say, hey, boss. I was just joking, boss. I can't joke with my bosses. Come on, man. But this ain't the time to joke. I say, but man, boss, look here, man. Damn, I can't play with my boss. And that calmed them down, right? That calmed them down. So basically, I was a claim fighter for 3 years. I don't know whether I had 400 fights or 500 fights. But I was saying I had 300, but the fight was so quick, sometimes three times a week. So you can't keep up with it 3 times a week for 3 years, 2 times a week or 1 time a week. You know, when it's a powerful person like somebody in the military, right? I just have 1 fight that week because they give us like a week to get ready, a week or 2 to get ready. But I was an undefeated claim fighter after 3 years, right? And I told them, I say, man, y'all know if I graduate, I'm gonna be part of history. You know, when they released me from a contract, because they say they experts say it ain't no use to continuing because nobody on the planet can beat me in my prime, no matter how big they are, right? So they released me from my little contract, and I asked the plane leader, and I didn't even know he was a leader, you know, until he came to release me. Because when I first got to college, this guy used to take me everywhere with him. He never talked, but he just take me with him. And I didn't know he had nothing to do with the claim, but one day we went to a mud fest, right? And I seen all them boys have a fight. And I was shaking. I guess he saw me, you know. And he said, you ready to leave? I said, yeah, man. I said, them boys gonna kill me. He said, oh, they're not gonna touch you while I'm around. I said, oh, you know them? He said, like I said, they're not gonna come around you when I'm around. And I said, well, man, take me back to the dorm, right? But when he released me from my contract, he said, our expert say that you'll knock Bruce Lee out in the first or second round. I said, man, I can't beat no Bruce Lee. He said, man, Bruce Lee was in a movie. He said, what we put on you is real. He said, we throw everything at you but the kitchen. You never complained one time, not even during death. When you were in claim court, they say you were begging them to kill you. He said, so even in death, you was a gentleman. He said, we've been told the wrong thing by our parents and the uncles and grandparents about black people. He said, we the animal. He said, we took away your college experience. And he said, by the way, you must be really smart. Because how did you pass college for 2 years with all the fight? He said, most of your fight were 1 and 2 in the morning when they wake you up. Is you smart? I said, no, I ain't smart. He said, well, if you want tutors, I'll get you how many tutors you ever need. Because the way we did you was wrong. Say, we wrong. And I say, boss, man, you gonna give me a gun? He said, a gun for what? I say, when I was y'all property, I was protected by the claim. So no claims in America could mess with me. Or they would have had to face y'all point. I say, now, since I'm not y'all property, somebody gonna want to be a hero. Maybe out of California, maybe out of Texas, maybe out of Georgia, man. I need some kind of protection, man, because they ain't gonna fight me because they know I gonna fight. He said, look here, son. It's the reason you still live. He said, you were anyone else, we would have killed you the first time you slept away. He said, but all the head of the organization then gave orders, and we just sent out letters to all the claims organization in America not to never touch it. And I say, for real? Why? He say, even the claims not stupid enough to hurt what God created. He said, when God made you, our experts say you 1 out of 300 million, and you won't come along to every 1 to 2 million years. I said, y'all experts said that? He said, yes, they said, right? So now I'm happy, right? I'm happy because I know I ain't gonna be touched. And you know, they told me anytime I need something in life, they got. And I say, well, if I want a 100-acre farm, you got me. He said, we got you. We just have to give you a job to help you pay for it. He said, but man, we owe you. We took away your college's program. We owe you a lot, man, the way we did. I said, but what do I need to cost 20 years from now? He said, we got you, man. And I said, well, how I contact you? Can I get a phone number or something? And he said, no. We always got eyes on you. Soon you hit the city limit, just pull into the nearest filling station or hotel and sit in the parking lot. And one of my boys will be there to see what you do. And you know, and I thought about it. The whole way through college, they kept saying, we got eyes on y'all. We got eyes on y'all 24 hours a day. And I thought it just was a figure of speech. But they were real. And my teacher said, you know, before we graduated, he said, you know, 100 years from now, you're going to be fighting. I don't know what you're talking about. What good is it going to do me 100 years from now? He said, 100 years from now, you're going to be one of the most famous men in history, especially black men. Thought nothing of it. Because Ted Bundy been telling me that for 3 years. You know, and I ain't know what they were really talking about because I'm trying to survive every day. I can't read. I'm trying to learn how to read. I'm doing all this. So now 10 years after the fight, I get a call from the president of the United States when I was on the job. And I pick up the phone, put it on speaker. And this lady say, my name is Linda. My name is Linda. I'm Mr. Clinton, top aide and head of this research we are doing. And through the research, we find out the top 10 most least minority friendly subjects in American college. And she say none of them got any black graduate except for the #1 least minority friendly degree on the planet. And we trying to figure out how you got a degree. So we did 3 years of research. And no college in America ever had a black graduate from golf course management. So Mr. Clinton decided to take it to other countries. And we checked all the major countries golf management. And none of them had a black student to graduate. Congratulations, Mr. Stubbs. You are real history. And then Mr. Clinton said, you are the very type of history, because most real history makers are Olympians or World War veterans. But in your case, you're just an ordinary guy. And we don't understand. It's like you went back in time to the 1800s, to a era that don't exist no more. And I was puzzled because in college, to all the students, you know, from out of town and out of state, it felt like we went back in time. We used to talk about it all the time. And everybody hated it. It was so boring. But since I was an introvert and an anti-socialist, I was at home. Even though all the fight, and all the can't read and the teachers telling me that I'd never be nothing, I need to drop out of college. I'm an embarrassment to my family and all this. So, and I kept wondering, And then President Clinton said, congratulations, but son, I'm going against all presidential protocol. Because normally we don't tell a person, we research it. And they never know that we research it. And they never know who they are. But I had to tell you, because we had 3,000 witnesses who never seen each other in 10 years since college. And the stories they telling us about you is unbelievable. That's why we had to do the research 3 years in a row. But we can't close it, son, because none of the experts can explain how you still alive. Now tell us, son, because we want to close the research. Did you have help from the other side? I'm like, Mr. President, do y'all know about the other side? He said, yes, we know about the other side. We spent millions on research, and we have made contact on several occasions. So we know the other side exists. Now tell us, did you have help from the other side? I say, Mr. President, sir, I was raised in both worlds. And you can hear Mr. Clinton saying, I told y'all so, I told y'all so. He had to have help. He had to have help. In no way this guy should be living, right? So I'm like puzzled, right? And he said, close the research. File it on the top secret, unexplainable. And I found out top secret means only presidents can read, and they told me if I ever want to release it to the public, to call the sitting president, and they gave me a presidential code word, which work on all federal departments. When I call it, it supposed to mean top priority, whatever problem I got, because I wasn't covered by the discrimination. And that's why the research was called One Is Not a Minority, because it takes, I think, 3 or 4 to be a minority. So it had to be 3 to 4 people with my degree having the same problem for the government, protect us, but they couldn't protect me. And that was basically amazing, And I wondered for many a year, at least 20 to 30 years, I wondered, what was they talking about? Why were I still alive? Because I had so many answers there. I didn't know what one they were talking about, because he said when they do research, they check, they listen to every phone call, where I'm staying there, every code word that say David or golf or racism, and certain key words. He said the computer spit it out. Like he said, they can do a person's whole life, even if they're 100 years old, the computer can do the whole life within hours, because of the code word they're looking for. When they code word, they pull a you know what I mean? So 30 years passed. Now I'm on my deathbed, 2016. Now I got time. So something say, Google your name. I Googled my name. I saw nothing. I said, wait a minute. They told me they were going to acknowledge that World American Sports and Black History. But they told me not to publish the story. To write the books, many books I can, put, and the government will write the stories when I die, and protection so my family don't be in danger of me being in danger. But 2016, my whole family dead. except for one brother. So they always kept saying, I'm gonna be one of the greatest writers in his lifetime. My professor said, I thought he was picking on me because I couldn't read. Okay. Well, my brother Thomas